Hey everyone, number 54 on my list of 100 greatest songs of all time is Freedom by Rage Against the Machine. When I was 11, maybe 10, I was given a cassette, a record copy of the album, the debut album of Rage Against the Machine. 93, I was given it, I think it came out in 92. And I thought it was outrageously good. I loved it. I liked listening to it a lot, and I was really at the time, Guns N' Roses kind of moving into Nirvana, and I thought Rage Against the Machine just fit the kind of, it's silly saying the headspace it was in, but I was a young man, but we still had feelings before we became teenagers, and I didn't quite understand what Zach De La Rocha was trying to say with any of his lyrics. They didn't mean much to me at the time. They obviously do more now. The riffs were so heavy and the drums were hard and the bass was like, the tone of the bass was always so good for Rage Against the Machine. And Freedom wasn't the song that initially stood out to me on it. There was other songs, probably Bomb Track being the kind of, as the opener of the album, it stood out to me a lot. And then the ones with the curses like really front and center, and most of them curses in it, but the ones that really front and center would always stand out because you kind of felt you were getting away with something a little bit when you were listening to things like that. But as I got older and I started like reading up about Rage Against the Machine and like what he was trying to say and what the songs were about, Freedom stood out to me even more because it does seem a kind of it's definitely a swipe at the lack of freedom, I suppose, in America now and then, and he's kind of it's kind of a sarcastic title really, or an ironic title if you want, but there's many kind of interpretations of it, and I will talk a bit about the lyrics and a little bit about the music video. But the riff was something I always loved. I have my bass here. It's in drop D. A lot of their songs are in drop D because obviously it's heavier. But this is like, sorry if it's kind of buzzy. It's kind of hear that? I don't know why that's doing that, but I suppose it's probably because it's a guitar app. But anyway, it's I'll try and play it slow and speed it up. Concentration on my face, but that's such a great riff. Like it's I'm not going to say it's simple because it's not a simple riff to play, and it's possibly a little bit more difficult on the bass because of the thickness of the strings and the higher action and stuff like that, but it's not really the point of what I'm trying to say is, but that riff is so good, and they are writers of some of the best rock riffs of all time. And to say that, like, and it's I don't say that lightly because you'd have people like Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin and things like that, but Rage Against the Machine's riffs are always so good, and they do vary quite a lot, and they drop D adding to the heaviness as well. And there's one song in drop C and stuff that makes it even heavier. But it is quite important that I mention the video depicts the incident at Oglala, which was Michael, sorry, I'll just get the names correct because I don't want to be called out, but Leonard Peltier, who was involved in American Indian movement, and there was a shootout on Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in 1975, and he was condemned to 2 consecutive life sentences for the deaths of 2 FBI agents. Since his trial, questions have been raised concerning the prosecution's misconduct regarding fabricated evidence and falsified testimonies, and that the incident is replayed or played out in the video for Freedom, so you can go and look at that and then read up a little bit more. It's quite a convoluted case, and so I'm not going to go too far into that idea of it, but I do want to read out. It's important to note that because Zach De La Rocha was very political minded, and he did write a lot about cases that had gone on, and he would bring them up on stage then afterwards and stuff. And like a lot of music and politics is kind of so ingrained in each other that if you know, if you are someone like Zach De La Rocca who's so interested in stuff, it's bound to come up in songs. You're bound to kind of bleed into your writing. So this first one, solo. I'm a soloist on a solo list, all live, never on a floppy disk. Inca Inca, bottle of ink, paintings of rebellion drawn up by the thoughts I think. The militant poet in Once Again, check it. Set up like a deck of cards, they're sending us to early graves for all the diamonds. They'll use a pair of clubs to beat the spades. With poetry, I paint the pictures that hit, more like the murals that fit. Don't turn away, get in front of it. Brother, did you forget your name? Did you lose it on the wall playing tic-tac-toe? Yo, check the diagonal. 3 brothers gone, come on, doesn't that make it 3 in a row? There's a refrain in it where he mentions anger is a gift. And we talked about Rise by Public Image Limited recently on one of the episodes about anger being an energy. So it's another kind of, you know, use of or idea of anger being not just a negative, you know, feeling, that, you know, it's a gift or an energy. Brother, did you forget your name? Did you lose it on the wall playing tic-tac-toe? Yo, check the diagonal, 3 million gone, come on, because you know they're counting backwards to 0. The environment exceeding on the level of our unconsciousness. For example, what does the billboard say? Come and play, forget about the movement. The outros is possibly the most powerful and important part of the song, where he repeats freedom, yeah, right, freedom, yeah, right. And he starts to scream and that was another thing when I was growing up, when I was listening to this, you know, for the first time, or listening to their album for the first time, the amount of like I mentioned, anger, but like how he could put it into his vocal performance it's incredible. And you know, I look at things now. I think the definitive version is from Woodstock '99, that famous shit show, when it all went to shit, you know. But they do a great version of Freedom on that, and they make a point of burning the Tim Comerford, the bass player, makes a point of burning the American flag. And you know, at the time, probably overshadowed by the events that happened at Woodstock, but you know, he was constantly, or they were constantly making these statements of like, what are we doing? Are we going to stay in, you know, stay making the same mistakes that we did, like, you know, not learning from history, and you know, all the crap that went before it? Are we going to try and change? But he felt that they weren't, and like he speak now in the fire, and you know the song I'm thinking of. But there's a video of them on Wall Street, and they actually managed to shut down Wall Street because they turned up with Michael Moore recording the video for them, and they were playing the song, and they had to close down Wall Street for, it wasn't for a long time, but they're the only, like, you know, before 9/11, I guess, and anybody that closed it down were and it was about, that's what the song was about, capitalism and the economics of in America, and on Wall Street, and the unfairness of the whole system. And you do think, and they've been criticized since then for certain things, because they are making money now off these songs and stuff. But you can't just not do it. There can't just be nobody talking about it, because now they've made money that they're on the wrong side now, and they don't want to talk about it because they get cut out. It can't happen that way. And it's like John Lennon getting criticized for Imagine when he was sitting there in his mansion. But like, you know, somebody's got to say something, I suppose. We're all contradictory, and you know, I don't want to go too deep. I've probably gone too deep already. But Freedom by Rage Against the Machine. If you ever want to like get up, you know, let's go for something, you want to go and you're going competing in something, or you're going to do an exam or something, listen to Freedom. That'll get you going. But Freedom, Rage Against the Machine. Listen to it. Thanks very much. Bye.